Hello, good morning, welcome, good afternoon, bienvenido, hola, ni hao, aloha. Welcome to our friends from New York to LA, from Australia to UK, around the globe as we attract some of the top influential, top thought leaders of the world today and our listeners as well. Welcome to Collaboration Nation, where we bring to you the very best ideas. And as a team of collaborators, we throw our best ideas into the mix so we all get to pull out a brand new set of best ideas. Now, today's guest, a lot of you know and a lot of you don't know. And I'm lucky enough to call this man a mentor, a friend, and a co-collaborator, as I've learned so much from this man. And this man has actually been involved in the world of human potential and personal development for, I think, probably 5 decades, if not more. His life's mission is to contribute to the planet's consciousness. A lot of us don't know him because sometimes he is in the back scenes making it happen, but he's collaborated with some of the top influential minds today and of past. So we're going to pass on that legacy. As Bob Proctor has taught Napoleon Hill for the last 50 years, we're going to teach Bob Proctor and Berny Dorman and Napoleon Hill for the next 50. So my friend Berny Dorman, founder of CEO Space, where actually Collaboration Nation was born, and we're creating a movement around the globe. And CEO Space is a masterful think tank of entrepreneurs, influencers, and thought leaders from around the 4 corners of the world who contribute to give to society, who are visionaries, and Berny Dorman is the founder. Now, for those of you that don't know Berny, I know you and your dad actually grew up in the world of personal development, and tell us a little bit about that, your dad and your upbringing.
Well, Drew, you're on a historic day. This is a day the kids are off from school. People fought forever to get that to be a holiday for a black man, and that is the celebration of Martin Luther King Day. And when I was 15, I was marching on Birmingham Bridge, several rows back from Clark Clifford, the Secretary of State for Jimmy Carter when he was president, Bob Caro, who was a constitutional lawyer and my corporate lawyer till he died, and he was up ahead of me in the march, and Uncle Martin, of course, leading it, and I was back, one of the few white guys in this procession, not knowing what it was going to be like, and got involved in the human rights movement. My father founded the human potential industry in the 40s. And as he grew forward, trained, people coming over to the house were the heads of the largest companies in the world, Walt Disney, but it was thought leaders like Martin Luther King. Napoleon Hill worked for my dad's company just to be around his mentorship till he died. The people coming over to the house were Earl Nightingale, Bucky Fuller, Jack Kennedy, Walt Disney, and, the who's who that shaped industry, the world, Dr. Edward Deming. And, Dad was the coach of the coaches, of presidents of multinational companies. He worked with both Chiang Kai-shek and he worked with Mao in the revolution. He was over in mainland China in the 50s when it wasn't easy to get in, and shaped the world that we live in. And as I've grown through CEO Space, the awake thought leaders of the largest companies in the world come through and share their mentorship with others, but they also tune themselves up. And so if they're looking for the highest form of leadership tune-up, you're not going to get at Wharton, Stanford, or Harvard. If you're looking for a short period of time to really get the best mentors, some of the founding and board members of Accenture, Booz Allen, McKinsey, the firms that came after my father's consulting company, Dr. Deming's work, keeping that going. And we're connected to all of that as the highest levels of mentorship in the world for those that are making a difference in the world. And so basically, for, as you said it, 5 decades, and for the last number of years, we've broken records as the #1 business conference by third-party press. This is rankings and publications from Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, Financial Times of London. This is #1 with Forbes year after year in the world as the #1 business conference you can't afford to miss. If you're a fortune company or a startup, if you're looking for clients, markets, outlets, or expansions, or better plans, better teams, and resources to execute, a ramp of a new product, a rebranding for a fortune company, you can save so much time and money as a CEO by coming into this CEO club. And you won't believe it, where the billionaires hang out with the millionaires and everybody's mentoring everybody else. And those in the early stage, you're blessed by God to get in. So check it out, ceospaceinternational.com. But, we take the thought leaders that, Chicken Soup for the Soul came out of our place. That affected 500 million people with consciousness, with Jack and Mark Victor Hansen, putting it together at our place, launching it from our place. We did Men Are From Mars and Venus colliding. That was our idea that created a monster for John Gray. We have had, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, affected 500 million people. The Secret, 1.5 billion people. So when it comes to affecting mindsets, I work with presidents of nations and countries to refinance their sovereign debt. So if you're in administrative work in a nation, get to know me, come see me, because my team can give you new infrastructure dollars and refinance your country. We're also selling CEO Space, where a nation will buy us for 5 years, put us in different cities during each year, and ramp up their entrepreneur class for jobs, massive job creation, massive tax base creation. Nothing is faster, where you put up $1 and you get 10 back at a country level. So I'm working with major leadership in the biggest and most development poorest countries of the world, from the EU to Africa to South America, all over the world. Personally, I'm working with them and, bringing, I think it comes down to anybody leading a nation. Your team has to think different or you perish. You only have so long you're leading your country, even if you're a king, and you think different or you don't thrive and, have this effortless abundance that is possible by structure. I'm an investment banker economist. I ran one of the largest publicly traded investment banking brokerage firms that's out there for years and worked with all the majors. And so I understand economics at the highest level, and I help countries. So that's my story. And from Martin Luther King, happy birthday. And we're happy to celebrate your holiday. And I was talking to you in prayer early this morning before this podcast. And thanks for letting me be #1 to start your series. I know you're going to have better sets and all the different things, but there'll always be a first one. And that'll be Berny Dorman. And I hope the millions that do know my name will viral this just share this with your community, because you're dealing with the coach of the coaches. So I've coached everybody from John Ashernoff to Ron Zeller and in between. And that includes Tony Robbins and all the thought leaders that we've named already, and many more. And I treasure the honor to be of service to each of them.
Well, it's fantastic, and you're right. This set is going through our viral upgrade as we speak, but this is my humble beginnings in my lovely zip code here in Ridgefield, Connecticut. And yes, it is Martin Luther King Day. The date of this recording is January 15th, 2018, and we are in a new movement of consciousness as the year 2020 approaches us. And you spoke some wisdom into me about a year ago, maybe about 13 months ago, when I first heard of CEO Space. And I've been in the world of personal development now for, I guess, maybe 15 years. And I always had known about CEO Space, but when you and I started dialoguing about the quality of connections and what would happen to me and my career, I got accused by one of your inner circle friends that I was going to be the guy dumb enough to believe. And I'm taking that project on. So you mentioned effortless abundance. So we are launching to the community the 7 laws of effortless abundance. The first law being the law of collaboration, and that's how Collaboration Nation was born. So in #collaboration, Berny, what does that mean to you? Why is the law of collaboration so significant in today's day and age?
Let me start with liturgy and all faiths and all belief systems. And we, in cooperation, celebrate the idea of collaboration and cooperation. And the Bible on this subject, for heads of state that have read this, for the last number of presidents of the United States, leaders all over the world, top fortune companies, CEOs, the book is called Redemption, the Cooperation Revolution. And in it, it states in the beginning, and we're talking about the beginning, like out of the Bible, in the beginning was the void. And all that is of the void, because there is nothing else to be of, but is not in the void. And it's a thought that it has as first thought, never starts, never ends. It always had first thought of self-awareness. That when this breathing orb of light thinks, it creates, it must exist. So it has itself as a mirror looking at self. The Father makes the son and daughter together here, the offspring, the perfect image of self. And it knows self through the mirror of self. And that creates love, which drops out, and love is a thought between them must exist. And that's the holy of all spirits. And its nature, completing the Godhead always, never starting, never ending, is creation, because it must be shared, this love. And as it knows self through endless creation, it creates free will. And free will has a character of the Godhead. It must make first choice. First choice is sanity or insanity. Insanity is I'm equal to you, which is insane and not true. I want the same kind of worship you get, which is insane and not deserved. I want to make followers like you have to worship me, and I can do it because I'm just as powerful as you. You can't do it, and you're insane. And I seek to have all that worship, so I'll steal your followers. Now, at that point of insanity, you're moved by frequency to the insane asylum. You can't be in the same space as the sane. But then you make second choice. You make no responsibility, because you're insane, for your own choices. You have no responsibility. And you are enraged, and you're enraged at God for putting you in the insane asylum, because you're not back with all the sane folks. Now, this gets interpreted by men and mankind in words that 2,000 years ago, or whenever they were written, are the things that could be accepted at that state of consciousness. But I just gave you the higher consciousness. And in all of the ancient literature, its name is first competition. It's first competition with God, the insanity. Insanity is first competition. Competition is a form of insanity. Now, the first thing you have to do to clean your consciousness is understand that pure evil, the essence of insane behavior between the mortal souls, is competition. So why do we want to make this place, this garden water planet, look like the place of the insane asylum? The dog eat dog, the tearing each other apart, the hostile merger, the getting the other person destroyed so you can have a victory. Why would we want to make the insane world our world? Why don't we move to cooperation? For instance, if nations cooperated, they have to have a DNA, and that DNA is integrity. So integrity, because there's only integrity in the Godhead, sanity is always integrity. You don't lie, you don't exaggerate, you just are, you feel good when you tell the truth. You feel something that you know is your state of being. And the more you're in that, I don't feel inferior. I don't have self-loathing. I don't have insane attributes. And I try to overcompensate. So once you know what's really going on, you can relax into your higher state of consciousness. You can relax into a family life that's all cooperative. All problems in relationship and any lifestyle are because of competition versus cooperation. And if you look at Christianity and the Muslim faith and Buddhist and Hindus and all kinds of attributes, including the Jewish faith, they're great ideas. They've never been tried. They're great ideas. They've never been tried because they're all teaching us to cooperate and love each other. That's what they're teaching us. So if we ever did it, we'd see, first of all, we'd be in integrity. And 1 and 1 would make 11. and nations would cooperate to solve problems, and they wouldn't allow competitive aspects to enter into it. They wouldn't feel threat. We would respect diversity of politics, of religion, of lifestyle. I don't care if you're wired anyway. I don't care who you are. You could be a tranny, you can be gay, you can be bi, you're not an abomination at all. All right? There's no penalty for love. There's only reward. Be true to yourself. We have to celebrate diversity. What's ever different about us, we celebrate and come together on it. If we are in any way punishing diversity, then we are insane doing this. So it's either this or it's this. One is insane and the other is not. So create circles that are cooperative. All problems between relationship are competition versus cooperation. If I teach you one thing on the podcast, viral, all challenges in your personal home life are cooperation or competition. That's the source. That's the one virus on your consciousness. There's no other virus. Everything else is symptom. Go to counseling forever. You'll never get well because you're dealing with symptom. You're not dealing with cause. It's cooperation versus competition. You get cooperation in your home life, in your parenting, and you teach those principles and culture, and you have this. You have what I have, which is heaven in my home life. I woke up today and I was telling my wife, I'm so grateful for you. I'm grateful for your smile. She's just getting ready, brushing her teeth. I'm grateful for your ears. I gave her all sorts of physical things I'm grateful for. Personal, I shouldn't share them on a podcast. I said, I'm grateful for your breath. I'm grateful for your attitude. I'm grateful for your food. I'm grateful for your nurturing. I'm grateful for your care. She finally came to the door with this huge smile saying, is there more? And that's how our life is. I want your life to be like that. I'm 11 years in that life, and I've had a relationship which was competitive, and I tried to make my partner grow out of that, but it was comfortable to be competitive, and I'm not resonant with that. And it's the greatest soul that I just love this girl. And I'm great friends with her, and she has a perfect partner. But I needed some different conversation, and I gave it to myself, and I have heaven on earth. In my personal life, in my corporate life, our culture is all cooperation, and we have the sweetest family of people we work with. We've created a circle of cooperative thinkers. We don't allow competitive thinkers in. We have guards to guard the circle, that it's always cooperative and in integrity and doesn't compromise. And some of these guards are like Dr. David Gruder, who wrote the book, The New IQ, Integrity, because integrity is the DNA of cooperation. So it gives you the tools to be in integrity when you read about redemption on how to be in cooperation. So you get your integrity at the highest level. Then we guard the guards. So even the guards are self-corrected. Who said to do that? Napoleon Hill in 1937, Think and Grow Rich, more books sold than anything but the Bible. He wrote Outwitting the Devil. If you haven't read it, it's an anthology of cooperation and how to guard the guards. So that's my work in human potential, and we do it with the largest companies creating movement of their cultures to cooperative cultures versus competitive, which turns them to switched on, turned on workspaces. If they try to manufacture higher performance within competition and competition organizing principles, they hit absolute ceilings. They cannot burst through them, will not burst through them. Once they turn their culture around, the hourglass opens up and they go to levels on the fortune graph they've never seen, reinvention, customer service, their brand is enhanced, everything changes. With cooperative culture in the workspace versus competitive, McKinsey-like measurement, how many steps does it take on your break to get a Coke and a diet machine and back? That kind of humanity is going to rob you of what you want most.
Well, what's fascinating about what you're saying is it's not just canned for this talk. This is how you live. I've seen you behind closed doors. I've seen you run giant events. I met you at the Modern Day Millionaire with Bob Proctor. He was getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. I was in New York City at Carnegie Hall. And when I met you, I saw you as a walking influencer that is going to transcend history as your days live on into its legacy. These stories that you've told, this way that you live and survive, I'm committed to live on that ongoing legacy. So I had experience of white light 3 times in my life. One was I was in a yoga pose and I was in a really stretched position. I was kind of having a little tight jaw on my face, and the yogi instructor came up behind me and she just gently shifted my body, and my whole body aligned, and I felt open white light. Second time it happened was after a bad injury in my neck over a bike fall. And I had seen 5 different types of doctors, and I ended up going to a doctor who was Atlas expert, the bone that holds your head on top of your neck. And with one tiny little gentle push on my neck, my whole body aligned. I was pain-free, and I felt white light. The third time I felt white light was at a CEO Space conference. And we were involved in a high-level meditation. It was around the holidays, and we were in a mastermind that was the consciousness just kept tenfolding and tenfolding and tenfolding. And we started talking about the secret, the law of attraction, and the word of source and God, and Bob Proctor's words and Bernie's words. And then all of a sudden it started hitting me. I started feeling disrespectful to you, to Bob Proctor, to the secret, to the word of God, because us as humans, we complicate it. And as it started going, what started happening for me is I started hearing the word of God, the Think and Grow Rich, Bob Proctor, your words, and then all of a sudden, it felt like they were all saying the same thing, and they were all talking to me. And I started to believe these words of wisdom, and that's where Law of Collaboration was born. And now we're going to spread it around the globe. And this is the first podcast on Collaboration Nation. And our goal is to really awaken the consciousness of humanity and to bring forth these lessons from you and your dad, from Bob Proctor and Martin Luther King, from Napoleon Hill, and from Think and Grow Rich, and Norman Vincent Peale. So Bernie, I'm just excited to have you here on the podcast. What advice do you have for our listeners?
Well, first, I think the secret of the secret, which we helped launch and put out in the market, and most of the faculty members on the secret are our faculty members. So Bob Proctor won the big award at Nightingale Conad before New York, and he mentioned that from the stage. You recall at Carnegie, with the packed Carnegie Hall, how many times he spoke to me in the front row and mentioned me, more than his acknowledgments for some very important people, Michael Beckworth, who was there, my buddy, and Les Brown. But the reason is, going back to Nightingale Conad and Vic Conad offering a Lifetime Achievement Award to the 2 men that had most changed consciousness in their own generation and lifetime, to Bob and I. And as we're on stage, they asked him what was his highest work in his life, which I thought would be the secret. And he said, there's a building block of a pyramidical level of stones. And these are giant stones. Some are the people that have come before us that are legacy. And that includes Christ, Mohammed, and others that have tried to get us to rightful living, cooperative living, not competitive living. It's just cooperation versus competition. If the virus is invisible and we adopt its toxicity of competition, we have a mental virus. So humanity believes competition is good and it's from God, and that's the great lie. You see it in media, politics, and everything. So if we want a world change, elect leaders that are cooperative capitalism. That'll give us transparency, reporting, full accountability, and no secrets. 4 things. It's in redemption, the cooperation revolution for nations. Then you get a capitalism that works and is not controlled by the few against the many. So is a financial system in the world communism or capitalism, where 1% own more wealth than 99%, moral, ethical, and appropriate, while billions are starving to death when there's plenty of food to feed us all? So we can support on the planet trillions, and I can show you how. It's in the book. But we're not cooperative with the planet, and that's the problem. So how do we get cooperative? It's just electing leaders that are cooperation-based. It's being in your own lives and ventures cooperation based. So let me give you the secret of the secret. The law of reciprocity, my father gave to Zig Ziglar before he died when he was 23, consumed Zig Ziglar's life. I remember when he came out, when I was riding a bicycle and told this young boy that my father had given him the keys to his entire life, which was, if you want to have everything you ever wanted, help everyone else without condition, unconditionally, as a spirit to another spirit, not a head space, not a heart space, deeper than heart love, soul love, really love another soul. You help all the other souls get whatever they want, wanting nothing. And they will give you everything you want and more than you want. So he spent his life teaching that. But the law of reciprocity, helping others unconditionally, is 10 times more powerful than the law of attraction. So when you put reciprocity in, the law of attraction magnifies. So CO Space is a place where we practice that. You talked about the highest level of spiritual magnified mentorship, because everybody's mentoring at a level that they've never mentored before. And it is the replenishment of the depletion of competition. So you have to practice cooperation. You can't read it in a book. So if you want cooperative lives in your home space or workspace, come to CO Space. There are 5 of them a year. Find any way, if Forbes says, this is the meeting you cannot afford to miss in the world. Not one year, year after year. After giving an example, in last year on the Forbes list, no company made it to the next year but CO Space. And again, we were number 1. That isn't easy. You have to really, and that's all by women running the company. I stand for women-full partnerships. In our 4th decade, the board and the management are women. And they've won the awards. They've done things the men couldn't do, because we need to embrace the female thinking. We need to form boards and company groups in management that are the female and the male working in cooperation. The results flowing from using the woman intuition and their facilities with males is better than male or the female alone. Wrap them together in your management. You will change the world, like Meg has done at Hewlett-Packard on her watch, and like the great lady leaders are now doing in the board suites, whether it's Yahoo with Meyer or whoever it may be. They have set records, done things no one else has done, and when mistakes happen, like it happened at Yahoo, got through a successful merger acquisition that made the Yahoo shareholders and users $1 billion safe and having a tomorrow that's richer than a yesterday. That's a woman at work. So I just tell everyone out there, if you're looking for the highest work, Bob Proctor said, in the pyramid are those giants that came before. Then we stand on their shoulders of Earl Nightingale, Napoleon Hill. We stand on their shoulders as Tony Robbins. And hopefully toward the top of the pyramid are the greatest influences of consciousness developing in the world today. Tony Robbins, 18 karat gold, light shining all over the world. Proctor seminars, 18 karat golds all over the world. Well, we still have him. He's 85. Well, we still have him. All right. And then Bob said, but my highest work is the capstone. The capstone of the pyramid is white light that will be here for generations. It is bringing in the highest transformation ever known in humanity. And it is encircling the world with an illuminated white light that's affecting nations, governments, that's affecting the billions that have never been reached before. It's making films, putting out products, doing things at a scale that's never been known. And he goes, that occurred 3 decades ago in the 1980s, when my teacher, who was engaging this man, brought me to his auspices, and I met Berny Dorman. And together we created CEO Space. 1 and 1 make 11. That's the capstone of my legacy, my highest work in this lifetime that will never be bettered. And that is CEO Space affecting the world today. And I honor the man who hasn't said a word, who has the other statue, because that's why we both have these statues, for most influencing human consciousness and transformation in our own lifetime. It's what we did at CO Space, and Vic Conad knows it.
Well,
and they had thunderous applause to that as we walked off stage. It was 5,000 people in press, and it was very moving. And it was moving to me that Bob had flown in from Israel, was very tired, and that was his soundbite when he said, "What is your legacy in the highest work of your lifetime?" So you just got it in your soundbite,
awesome.
As it was done to the media in Chicago on that snowy day in February.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. You mentioned the law of reciprocity, the law of gratitude. Obviously, these are another two of the 7 laws of the law of effortless abundance. And I will continue on this legacy, standing on the shoulders of you and Bob Proctor.
What's the most important ship I sail on? My relationship. What did I do this morning while I was getting ready for your podcast? I poured gratitude 11 years later into my wife while she was brushing her teeth. But I was pouring gratitude into myself. I was saying to myself at my soul level, you are so grateful to have this relationship today, 11 years later. You're so much more grateful than when you first had it. You can't even put in words how grateful you are. That is my home life gratitude. Then I'm so grateful for my team and my workspace. I'm so grateful for the universities we work with, for the national partners we work with, for the Fortune companies that sponsor CO Space and come in as thought leaders and CEOs and say, this is important for the workers of tomorrow. This is important for how we get workers and people that will be really adding value to our brands. We're going to sponsor CO Space. So I'm so grateful for all the I think in the time we started, if we'd come in the 70s and 60s, these companies wouldn't have sponsored us as thought leaders. Today, it's the new normal. How do we build a cooperation culture? What are the principles? That's redemption, the cooperation revolution. If you want the highest work of waking yourself up, read Redemption, underline it, and then get the ebook and listen to it till you, are out of gas.
Well, I know that book is indeed part of your legacy. I know it's been in the hands of presidents and thought leaders around the world. I'm going to stand on your shoulders and sing the song in praise of CEO Space, where this concept was born. You mentioned gratitude, which is our highest vibrational word in the English language. It is higher than love, so I am so grateful for you and your blessings. I know you, your inner circle, you charge tens of thousands of dollars an hour for your time. And I don't know if you know this, but your assistant or your partner, Dave, said anyone who reaches out to us after this podcast, you will give them a 20-minute coaching session and give them the invitation to look at CEO Space and see if it's a fit for them and their business. And for that, I applaud you and appreciate you.
With the qualification, I can't coach everybody in the world, but if you're seriously interested in joining CO Space, look at our website, cospaceinternational.com, see if it's a fit. You really are exploring it. We'll set up a call. I'll do a coaching, and then you can make a decision. Happy to help you. That's my reciprocity. That's my give back. And we're going to run out of time, but I want you to imagine a wagon wheel. And at the center is CO Space. And it's turning out the thought leaders that are the most famous programs in the world, who are all influenced by CO Space's cooperation system technology. And that includes universities, Fortune companies, and the thought leaders that are the most famous, who have all been to CO Space and built their empires in part from it. That's John Astronoff.
I actually have that diagram that you taught me. I actually have that diagram that you taught me on my desk. Oh, you can't see it because of the light. But it is the hub. It is the wheel that you described.
But I'm saying on the spokes, we have various pushes going out to get wheel momentum. But as you become part of the collaboration nation, as you commit to get involved, you become the wheel. And we seek to have 1 billion people like Facebook in the conscious platform online, doing business together like LinkedIn, with integrity and principles of cooperation, where we guard it and guard the guard. So if you make complaints, people are out of integrity, they're not keeping their words and they're failing you, they'll be out of cooperation nation because they weren't able to, they were competitive. They still have the virus because some people aren't teachable and you may not be their teacher. So remember, that's what Christ, my guy, said when he said to his apostles, don't cast your pearls before swine. Not because swine are bad, but because they can't hear, they can't see. They're going to eat everything on the ground, and they'll eat your pearl instead of taking it into their soul. So give people your pearls when they're really, a lot of people today are in this cell world and clicking around, and they're listening, but they're not hearing. So when you talk about the most important part of your life, the principles of keeping your brain, your consciousness, your soul that is in this state anyway, your soul that's immortal, that'll never die, can never be hurt, that soul is only wanting to love other souls that are made by God. That soul doesn't want to compete with another soul. And so you want to keep the virus of competition removed. So how do you do that? With if your life is blue screening financially in your relationships, whatever, first look to yourself and your integrity. And second, look to your competitive modeling, where you need to be right, where you need all sorts of things, and let them all go. And realize you have the virus. You can't fix a computer if you don't know you have a virus. You have to know you have a virus. Now, when you know you have the virus of competition, then you can remove it. Now, I'll tell you, if you say, what's the absolute virus removal tool? CO Space. It cleanses, protects, and causes you to avoid reinfection. It self-corrects. When you're through CO Space, the virus of competition has been removed from your life. And that's why we encourage couples to come together, because it changes your home life more than anything in the world except Date with Destiny with Tony Robbins, which, by the way, September and I just did ourselves, and I couldn't endorse on a scale of 1 to 10 more than 10. If you're in relationship, CO Space, Date with Destiny, and you'll have heaven on earth. You'll be like this instead of like that. So just decide, do you want to live like this? Don't come to CO Space. You're not one of us. You want to live like this? Get into Collaboration Nation, and as soon as you can, get to CO Space, and you'll change your life. You'll change your results and performance and legacy to humanity. You'll change your satisfactions, and you'll definitely change your abundance and financial standing. You will have effortless abundance you've never known before, not only by the way you think, but tools and tactics you can't get from Wharton, Stanford, or Yale or Harvard. And I know because we have their grads telling us.
Well, what a great way to kick off Collaboration Nation. Your action step today is to go to lawofcollaboration.com. We will send you a free gift of your collaboration manifesto. We will get you access to ceospaceinternational.com so you can up your game, up your level, up your relationships, up your inner circle. Those that you spend your next 18 months with will make the biggest difference in your life. And for those of you that are wanting to up your life, we are not looking to compete hand in fist. We are looking to collaborate, fingers intertwined. Our guest today, Berny Dorman, founder of CEO Space, grew up in the world of human potential, and for the last 50 years and for the next 50 years, we're going to live on that legacy. Thank you so much for your time today, Berny Dorman. Please visit us at thelawofcollaboration.com. This is Drew Berman, your host from Collaboration Nation. We'll see you next time, everybody.
God bless all of you.
God bless all of you.